I get it scrolling through endless listings, the pictures look slick, the specs line up, but when you actually pull the thing out of the box it feels like a letdown. I've watched too many friends buy a fuel tank that promised easy auxiliary fueling only to discover the top siphon hose kinked the first time they tried to fill it, or that the tank they thought would fit snugly in their shed ended up taking up half the garage floor. That hesitation is real, and the last thing you want is to waste space, money, or time on a tank that doesn't match your setup. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The RDS MFG INC fuel tank tool combo is a 60-gallon steel vessel marketed for diesel and other non-gasoline fuels. At first glance it seems like a straightforward solution for anyone who needs a sizable, stationary fuel reserve. Think homeowners with backup generators, small farms that run diesel equipment, or RVers who want a permanent on-site source. The real question is whether the combo lives up to that promise when you actually start using it day to day. First, let's talk about the kind of situation where a 60-gallon tank makes sense. If you have a whole house generator that runs on diesel, the average run time on a full tank is roughly 30 to 40 hours, depending on load. That means a single fill can keep the lights on through a weekend storm without a trip to the gas station. For a hobby farmer, a 60-gallon reservoir can power a small tractor or a water pump for multiple days, reducing the frequency of refueling trips to a nearby fuel depot. The same logic applies to a boat owner who docks a diesel-powered vessel and wants a dockside source that eliminates the need for a fuel truck each week. Now, who should walk away? If you're looking for a gasoline storage solution, this isn't it. The product explicitly says it's not intended for gasoline, and using it that way can be hazardous. Likewise, if you need a portable tank you can lift onto a trailer for occasional off-site jobs, the 60-gallon steel combo is heavy, roughly a few £100 when empty and not designed for frequent moving. The dimensions also require a dedicated spot, ideally a well-ventilated, level area away from direct sunlight and ignition sources. For city dwellers with a cramped driveway or a small shed, fitting a tank that size can become a logistical nightmare. One of the practical strengths that shows up in real use is the inclusion of the tool combo itself. RDS bundles the tank with a set of fittings, a vent cap, and a top siphon hose that lets you draw fuel without opening the main lid. In a scenario where you're refilling a generator that sits a few feet away, you can run the hose from the tank's top opening straight to the generator's intake, keeping the process neat and minimizing spillage. The top siphon design also means you don't have to tilt the tank or struggle with a bottom outlet, something that can be a real pain with older tanks that only have a low-point drain. On the flip side, that same siphon system can feel finicky if you haven't set it up correctly. The hose needs to stay primed, and if air gets into the line you'll have to bleed it out before fuel flows again. In practice, that's an extra step you have to remember each time you fill the tank or when you switch to a different piece of equipment. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's a nuance that first-time users sometimes overlook, leading to a brief period of frustration until they get the hang of the priming process. Another advantage worth highlighting is the material quality. The tank is constructed from steel with an internal coating that resists corrosion from diesel and biodiesel blends. For someone who lives in a humid climate or near the coast, that coating can extend the life of the tank significantly compared to a bare metal or thin-walled aluminum option that might rust after a few years. In practical terms, that means fewer headaches down the line and less chance of fuel contamination from rust particles. The downside here is the weight and the need for a proper foundation. Even empty, a 60-gallon steel tank can weigh well over 200 pounds. If you're placing it on a concrete slab, you'll need to verify that the slab can handle that static load without cracking. Some buyers have reported having to reinforce the floor or lay down a thick plywood base to distribute the weight evenly. That's an upfront cost and effort that isn't always obvious when you're just looking at the price tag. Speaking of price,